Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. The Curse of Oak Island. Marty says it's time to put a caisson over Aladdin's cave and pull up its secrets. This week on The Curse of Oak Island, the team had to make some tough choices, but ultimately they decided it was time to bring in a large caisson and excavate Aladdin's cave. Last night's show, Season 11, Episode 10, called Chain Reaction, was a bit of an emotional roller coaster with the guys continually having to bat away problems and bad news. The episode began with the not-so-unexpected news that there would be a significant delay in the project to deepen the garden shaft. The guys had wanted to deepen the shaft to about 95 feet, so they could spend the summer performing horizontal probe drilling in the search for tunnels and treasure. Unfortunately, the Dumas miners informed the Lagina brothers that the shaft wouldn't be deepened until the fall due to recent flooding. However, Rick and Marty Lagina are not ones to rest on their laurels, so they thought about what else they could spend the summer doing. Marty suggested they put a large caisson over Aladdin's cave. Oak Island team hopes excavating Aladdin's cave will reveal the treasure. Aladdin's cave is a large cavern about 60 feet southwest of the garden shaft, and at a depth of roughly 150 feet. Dr. Ian Spooner and his colleagues said the water in the cavern showed traces of precious metals and organic materials. The organic traces suggest the presence of wood, which implies there may be human-made structures down there. The guys have spent a few weeks flirting with Aladdin's cave, trying to work out if there's an access point in and out of the cavern. Frankly, they've not had too much success. Last night, the borehole team dug another hole into the cavern and was surprised when the casing came back up with loose, mushy material. The guys concluded that the cavern had suffered a collapse since they were last down there. A collapse would severely complicate matters. Surveyor Steve Guptill, Paul Troutman, and Ian were asked to go over all the data they've already collected through sonar mapping and the underwater camera to see if further exploration was feasible and warranted. Steve argued that one piece of footage from the cavern appeared to show a right-angled corner. This is not something that generally occurs in nature, so the guys are hoping it's evidence of a human-made structure. The surveyor also showed a 3D sonar map of the cavern, which he claimed showed at least 2 possible entrances to the cavern. Thankfully, Moneyman Marty agreed with Steve's analysis and gave his go-ahead to bring in a large caisson to excavate Aladdin's cave finally. The rest of the team also agreed with this move. So this season will now pivot its focus to this mysterious cavern, and we can expect the heavy drilling machinery to arrive within the next month or so. Aladdin's cave will be excavated, and we'll finally have an answer as to whether or not it holds the treasure. More artifacts found on Oak Island's Lot 5 and in the swamp. Elsewhere on the island, Billy Gerhardt and Gary Drayton spearheaded the hunt for artifacts at the southeastern edge of the swamp. Last night, they found many old-looking ship-based artifacts, but unfortunately, nothing was groundbreaking. Certainly, no Bobby Dazzlers. And the archaeologists continued their slow and thorough excavation of the rectangular stone feature on Lot 5. Jamie Kuba uncovered an ornate glass bead that could originate from Venice and be up to 500 years old. The dawn was just beginning to break over Oak Island, casting a pale glow across the treacherous landscape. The island, shrouded in mist and myth, had long been a magnet for treasure hunters and dreamers, each drawn by the promise of unimaginable wealth buried deep within its soil. But for Marty Lagina, the quest had always been about more than just gold. It was about unlocking the secrets that had eluded so many before him, about solving a mystery that had consumed his life and the lives of those before him for centuries. As the morning light danced on the surface of the island's infamous money pit, Marty stood at the edge of the most recent excavation, his mind racing with anticipation. The team had been working tirelessly for weeks, drilling deep into the earth, chasing whispers of treasure buried far below. But it was only now, after so many years of dead ends and false hopes, that they had finally stumbled upon something that made even the most skeptical among them believe they were on the brink of a discovery. Aladdin's cave, Marty whispered, his voice barely audible above the hum of the heavy machinery. The name had been uttered in hushed tones by treasure hunters and historians alike, a fabled chamber rumored to hold not just gold, but the lost treasures of the world. Some said it was a storeroom of the Knights Templar, others believed it held the riches of pirate captain Henry Avery, but whatever it was, Marty knew one thing for certain: it was buried somewhere beneath his feet, and it was time to pull up its secrets. Rick Lagina, Marty's older brother and the one whose passion had first drawn them to the island, approached, his expression a mix of excitement and caution. "Are we sure about this, Marty?" Rick asked, his eyes scanning the excavation site. "We've been down this road before. False promises, empty chambers." "This is different," Marty interrupted, his voice filled with a conviction that surprised even him. "We found something real this time, Rick. The readings are off the charts, and the structure we've hit, it's not natural. It's man-made. I can feel it. This is it." Rick nodded slowly, sensing the determination in his brother's words. They had come too far to turn back now. The curse of Oak Island had taken much from them: time, money, even the lives of some who had dared to seek its secrets. But it had also given them something invaluable: the unshakable bond of brotherhood forged in the crucible of a shared dream. "We'll need the caisson," Marty said, his eyes fixed on the spot where the ground seemed to drop away into darkness. The caisson, a massive steel cylinder designed to stabilize the ground during deep excavations, was their last hope of reaching the cave without triggering another collapse. It was a gamble, but one Marty was willing to take. The crew moved quickly, the clang of metal against metal echoing across the island as they prepared the caisson for deployment. Every move was calculated, every decision weighed against the potential for disaster. The stakes were higher than they had ever been, but so too were the rewards. As the caisson was lowered into place, Marty couldn't help but think of the countless others who had come before them, each lured by the promise of untold riches, only to be met with frustration and heartbreak. What was it that drove men to such extremes? Was it greed or something deeper? Marty wasn't sure anymore. All he knew was that the island had a hold on him, a pull that he couldn't resist, even if it meant risking everything. The machinery roared to life, and the caisson began its slow descent into the earth. Marty and Rick watched in tense silence, their hearts pounding in their chests as the massive steel tube disappeared into the darkness below. Every second felt like an eternity, every vibration a reminder of the immense pressure building beneath them. Then, without warning, the ground shook violently, a deep rumble that sent shockwaves through the island. The crew scrambled to maintain control, their faces etched with fear as the caisson lurched to a stop. For a moment, it seemed as though the entire operation was about to collapse, but then the shaking subsided, leaving only the sound of heavy breathing and the distant crash of waves against the shore. "We've hit something," one of the crew members called out, his voice tinged with both excitement and dread. It's a chamber. A big one." Marty's heart raced as he and Rick exchanged a glance. This was it. The moment they had been waiting for. The moment that could change everything. "Let's bring it up," Marty said, his voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through his veins. "Slowly. We don't want to lose anything." The winches groaned under the strain as the caisson was slowly retracted, inch by inch, revealing the contents of the mysterious chamber below. As the first glimmers of gold appeared in the murky depths, a collective gasp rose from the crew. But it wasn't just gold that they found. There, nestled among the piles of treasure, was something far more valuable: a chest, intricately carved and sealed with ancient symbols that none of them recognized. Marty's hands trembled as he reached for the chest, feeling the weight of history in his grip. Whatever was inside, he knew, could rewrite the story of Oak Island, and perhaps even the world. With a deep breath, Marty carefully pried open the chest, revealing its contents to the world for the first time in centuries. What lay inside was beyond anything they could have imagined: maps, documents, and artifacts that hinted at a secret so profound, so earth-shattering, that it made the treasure pale in comparison. The curse of Oak Island had been broken, but in its place, a new mystery had emerged. One that would lead them down a path even more dangerous and thrilling than the one they had just traversed. Marty and Rick stood together, gazing at the chest's contents, knowing that their journey was far from over. The secrets of Aladdin's cave had been pulled from the depths, but the true challenge had only just begun, and as the first rays of the morning sun bathed the island in golden light, the Legina brothers knew they were ready to face whatever came next.